Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to Authentic Info Podcast. I'm your host, Admire Sandile. The FF leader, Julius Malema, warns South Africans that there is going to be an unled revolution, that the people of South Africa will one day rise to fight for their own rights, and it will be difficult for the state to maintain peace. It will be difficult for the government to take over again, and it will be chaos until the state takes its people serious, until the ANC-led government takes its people serious. The only thing that is left, that is looming, is for people to take everything into their own hands and hold the state to account. And the state is not ready for that. It's a warning that he gives to South Africa. It's a warning that he gives to the president. It's a warning that he gives to everyone else who claims to be the leader in South Africa, that the people shall one day rise and it will be difficult to stop them. He has warned South Africa of so many things that have transpired, and nobody listened to him. And when these things happens, they call him the prophet of politics. When these things comes to existence or comes to pass, he is called the prophet. But every time when he speaks, every time when he warns the state of what's going to happen, no one listens to Malema. So do we have to give the EFF power so that they can implement? Because at least they claim to have the giraffe view. They can see the future. They can see what's going to happen, so that they can be able to prevent if this is something which is bad, or they can be able to allow if this is something which is good. The EFF has some policy positions that a lot of black South Africans do not agree with them. For example, their position on foreigners, their position on borders. A lot of South Africans who have suffered victim of foreign nationals who victimize them through rape, through stealing their properties and things like that, criminal activities. They do not agree with the EFF when it comes to that position. And there are also those who do not agree with nationalization of the mines, banks, and strategic sectors. And the EFF have their own way of explaining these things. But because they say, as black South Africans, we are a generation that has fear of white people, fear of whiteness, we cannot align with what they are trying to teach us, with what they are advocating for. That is why we don't take them serious, and it's going to hit back at us, not them. So the way the EFF leader speak about things and does things and his politics, it's sometimes not easily digested by South Africans, because South Africans feels like they are the victims of the crimes that the EFF allows. For example, their position when it comes to foreigners, that there must be open borders and everyone else who want to come to South Africa must come. And South Africans are saying that they are not willing to go outside South Africa. They don't have business with Zimbabwe. They don't have business with Malawi, Mozambique, Lesotho, and others. They want to remain in their beautiful land, South Africa, with fellow South Africans. And that is one of the things that makes a lot of people not to vote for the EFF of Julius Malema. And the other thing that he warns us about, when he warns us about this unled revolution, it started when they proposed for a shutdown, which others say it was not a success because people did not loot. When they say it was a success because people stayed away, the EFF says it's a success because there was no movement. And when he speaks about that, he says that if people do agree with the EFF, for example, in certain situations where the EFF proposes a shutdown and they decide that they want to continue with the shutdown, it means that will be led by the people and not the EFF, because the EFF should have proposed for a particular date. And if the people decide to proceed to shut down the state until they get their solutions or their problems answered or questions answered, then it will be the people's revolution. So is the EFF trying to lead people to hold to account the ANC-led government so that they can take power? Is the EFF failing to solely hold to account the ANC-led government in parliament? Now it wants the assistance of the people. Or is this their campaign strategy to say they agree with the people who want to hold the state to account? We know that they are good at this because when the fees must fall revolution started, they hijacked it in parliament, in public. When the ANC didn't want to talk about what was going on at VETS and other universities, they adopted the fees must fall revolution, and they took it upon their responsibility and supported those students. And majority, if not all of them, the leaders of the fees must fall revolution, found a political home in the EFF. And some of them have occupied executive positions in the EFF. They were polished under the fees must fall revolution. So the EFF has that capacity to identify a dark cloud that is coming and be able to associate with it, and they gain the numbers from that. So we know that in South Africa we had a civil unrest in lockdown, and the EFF aligned with that. They associated themselves with that, saying that the police must not take the food which has been looted, because people loot because they are hungry, people loot for various reasons, they didn't have jobs, they were staying at home and things like that. And the majority of the people who had that the EFF supported what they were doing, they joined the EFF. So the EFF has some strategy of hijacking a revolution, making it their own, protecting it with lawyers and everything, paying for legal fees. We saw them paying for some people, some old Magogo was arrested, paying for bail and things like that. They are good at that, and they win people through that. Now, we can question their strategy for 2024. I mean, it's amongst that. They protect the people who even participate in criminal activities. For as long as it is justified, the EFF will protect that person, and they will hijack their mission, that person's mission, and make sure that the mission is successfully accomplished. So when the EFF leader says that there will be an unled revolution, is he pushing for a revolution that will see the EFF coming later to hijack it? Is he shifting responsibility to the people to help him hold the state to account? Is he trying to prove to nations of the world that South Africa is on its knees and under the leadership of President Ramaphosa, it's going nowhere? Is this his strategy to campaign for 2024? I mean, a lot might be behind such a statement, although it's a statement which he made some time ago. But when I think about it, I think it has different meanings to it. It is ambiguous. You can interpret it the way you want it. It fits anywhere. So let's hope that the unled revolution doesn't lead us to be lawless and things like that. Because any revolution needs to be led. Even the civil unrest, there are people who are accused of orchestrating that unrest after Zuma's arrest. So these things of national shutdown and things like that, they are revolutionary, but they have their shortfalls. And on the other hand, if people don't display that they are disagreeing with some of the things that the government is doing, the government will continue to oppress us. So it is well within people's rights. I mean, it's justified that people must protest and things like that, strike and things like that. But when we arrive at a situation where people no longer trust politicians, or politicians no longer trust themselves, and they can see that it is now out of hand and the people have now taken power, I think it's bad, because an unled revolution will never bring success. A revolution must be led, a revolution must be financed. This is Authentic Info Podcast. I'm your host, Admasandile Chong. Let us grow together. Subscribe. Don't forget to comment, hit the notification bell, like, share with friends. Thank you.